Hey, what's up? I'm just popping in with a quick video, and I wanted to I think I'm gonna change the. Sometimes you have an idea of what you would like to do and contribute, but uh, it would have it that real life has something way different, likely way colder, way harder than you ever thought that you would be doing something like that. And today I noticed that today I was on a city bus today, and I was talking to a woman. She appreciated that I was playing guitar on the bus, and we got to talking, and she was interested in what I had to say. But at a certain point, I actually messed around and smiled in front of her, and she was like, she said, "You have a beautiful smile," and she meant it. But all I meant to say is that sometimes the most beautiful things in life happen like when you let your guard down. And then today I was actually making a video right now, like in like late, like it's pretty late right now when I'm making this. And I was actually having kind of fun making it. And it was like a little bit of like natural humor came out of like just laughing at life, or like having enough perspective to laugh at life for a moment. And sure enough, that video failed to upload, and it just dropped like that, just deleted forever. But it was actually like some cool vibes. It probably would have been the coolest video that I would have put on this channel so far. And I just want to say that if you're interested in that, it's not the first video to fail to upload, and it's often the best content that always fails to upload, because that's just how life would have it. But I just want to say, if you're watching this and you ever wanna if you ever want to do anything worthwhile in life, likely you're gonna have to. The real legwork is that there's not gonna be any fanfare or any support, and if there were, it would get in the way drastically. And so it's gonna be the most daunting. Even words like grueling and hard don't come close. But the only way to say it close is that it's gonna be the most heartless shit that you could ever that you would ever not want to think about. But that's exactly what you signed up for if you actually were inspired enough to maybe to make a promise in your heart towards somebody that you love, whether they're with you or not, whether you ever have any snowball chance in hell of running across them or seeing them or being thought of by them. If you had enough to step up into something real for yourself, and therefore for others, and for yourself and for others, which are not different. It's gonna be some heartless shit, and most of it's gonna fall to the ground. But if you mean it, then you're gonna keep messing around long enough till you get a little bit of it. But in life, I think like I can't speak for everyone's experience, but my experience is that you get more than likely way less or nothing of what you want, but you get some of what you need, and you get enough of some of what you need to get by, and that's long enough to keep up the fight. And then so most of your best shots, even the ones that land, aren't going to count. And then the ones that and then a lot of them aren't going to land, but even the ones that land aren't going to count. But that you keep swinging maybe a so people would say that the greatest of great wants only 10% of your tithes as offerings. But yeah, and so it actually that might be actually all that what's great accepts of certain people that have some real work cut out, is that only about your best, the best of the best, even that doesn't get to land, because I think we have a certain purpose, and it requires like it requires grit, and like having your metal tested, like METTLE. That's like some real like if you can imagine imagine you had like a piano, right? And you had the idea for the coolest thing that had never been heard before, and you actually got comfortable enough where you could demonstrate that piece, and you could repeat it like the greatest stuff. You can't call forward like intentionally, because there's something of improvising even with like the greatest piece. But you had the idea for like the greatest song in the world. And there's some beautiful people, like if you can imagine, like before we had music and stuff, like before we had music on demand, that when you listen to something, where you can control you can pause it and you can skip tracks and go back to tracks, like whether that be a video or music. That's called on demand. But before we had that, we just had like musicians in our own music, so you'd have more pianos and more homes, and more people spent time at the piano because there was no more entertainment unless you're going to entertain yourself and your friends. So you might say that that's better like that, because there's certain metrics that change in a city. Like before online, the amount of bookstores that you have in a city, it affects that city in significant ways, statistical ways that can be accounted for. But I would say it might be the same with like instruments, probably equally, if not more so, instruments as much as books would be the same. Is that the more homes that you have with actual real instruments and people spending time on them would affect the dynamics of that home. Now you go broader than that, deeper than that, the amount of people you have walking out into public with an instrument like what I do with the guitar, that would have to change social metrics first, and then maybe economic metrics second, because you go into places and here go a fool with an actual guitar in real life walking around with that thing. That's going to affect someone's day, or that at least someone's moment or experience of a venue. And so but you imagine you have some skill like that in the back in the day, and you're like in a fancy, say you were say you didn't have like status, you were around some people with status, beautiful people with status, regular people, humble people, all that, and you actually had an idea or a skill for something really beautiful and cool. And then like the person with the most rank in that area, like didn't like, the people who really haven't rank, they don't actually have like the uniform and like the colors and stuff like that. They're more so nondescript, but they're really having pull like that, and they really understand what that meant, what that took for you to create that, and what that could have mean for another person and yourself. And then they go and they say nah, fuck that, and they just slam their hand down on the piano, and it's like just some really like disagreeable, I think they call that assonant music, and they're like, that's that shit I like, that's that shit I need from you. I need that crazy shit, that dark shit. Fuck that beautiful shit. I need that dark shit like that. That's actually what it feels like doing something beautiful. And then like they're like but someone's like, no, I think he actually had an idea. I think he was actually onto something. No, fuck him and fuck you and fuck that. I need that dark shit. Fuck that. That's life right there. And then they would be like, they'd probably get on board with that, but they knew in the back of your mind you had a cool idea, but it don't matter, because there's what we know, there's what we can do, and then there's what we get to do. And if you can have enough heart to keep going after your best gets thrown right the hell out the window, and you can play like a little Mary Had a Little Lamb after you already know the most beautiful, you knew more beautiful music than if you had something that walked around with like flutes for legs, a guitar for a heart, and like a bird that no one ever heard of for a voice. You knew something colder than that. They still need with the greatest would want, I need Mary Had a Little Lamb from you. After you know all that beautiful shit, I need that Mary Had a Little Lamb, because I need you humble. That's what life is. But if you can still play Mary Had a Little Lamb like that, then you'd have to be real, and then that's real. And so maybe we don't get more fancy than real, and because again, we don't get what we want or what we like or even what we're capable of. We get what's good for us, and what's good for us is Mary Had a Little Lamb right on down the road, while everybody's enjoying that cool shit. That's some real talk for you. But I still say is the I'm not saying the juice is, I'm not even saying the juice is worth the squeeze. I'm saying the squeeze is worth the squeeze if that means something to you. And it's worth more than the juice if it means something to you. So I'm just gonna, I got at least one more video in that spirit. But sometimes like when things fuck up, like a phone fucks up when you're doing something cool, there's deeper thing at play that would have you using something that janky. And that's what the real baseball is what would have you using something janky like that when you might have had something to say. And if you can contend with that, and you can keep putting up those practice shots, because they need to be at least 1,000 a day. If you call yourself a basketball player, you really need to be 1,000 a day, at least half with your left hand and half with your right hand. You keep putting up shots long enough, and after they get done fucking off all the stuff that belongs to you, you can still land one on their ass.